You want to know something crazy, man?
Absolutely.
And I could tell you right now, man, just based off the vibe in the room right now, is I feel like we could talk for hours, bro. And,
we definitely could.
If you want to see the Trauma Project, it's going to be at the Muse Northeast location. It's going to be from 7 to 10. The dates are going to be March 2nd to the 3rd, 9th to the 10th. I highly recommend buying tickets online. On Eventbrite, just search Trauma Project GR. You can also find it on Facebook, Trauma Project GR. I highly encourage people to buy tickets. It's definitely going to be sold out. So get your tickets now before it's too late.
Welcome to Creative Ops, a podcast for creative people.
Hello, everyone. Before I get started with the show today, I just want to say, if you enjoy Creative Ops, please rate and review the show wherever you listen. It helps the show grow. It's the number one thing you can do, aside from telling somebody about it. Also do that, share it on social media, tell your mom, I don't care. And if you like what's going on over here, please consider supporting me by buying a ebook or paperback copy of my novel Switchers. It's a time travel novel about kids in the 90s who get in a time travel war against their adult selves. All right. Enough of me. Today's guest is Scoob, an artist originally from St. Louis, Missouri, now living in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's the mastermind behind the multimedia art project and the album, The Trauma Project, which you can see at Muse GR on 727 Leonard Street, Northwest in Grand Rapids, Michigan, March 2nd through the 3rd and March 9th through the 10th. There's links to get tickets in the show notes. There's links to all the people that we shout out. Well, at least most of them. Sorry if we forget somebody. And everything you need in the show notes. Go there as you hear things, as you want to click and learn more. And then, listen to the rest of the podcast, obviously. I'll see you on the other side.
I don't write down my conversations before. I don't write down what I want to cover. It's all freestyling. I did the same thing with if you listen to my radio interview with Lisha B on 104.9, and same thing with my interview with Fox 17 Morning Show with Michelle Dunaway. It's just
Michelle.
Everything off the top, man. Yeah, she is dope, man. I know.
She's really cool.
Yeah, she's been wanting me to interview for like months, bro. Like when I first told her about the project, she was like, "Hey, you want to come on and talk about the project?" I'm like, "Hey, it's not even done yet." Like I was very secretive about the project, but only a select people knew about it.
Yeah.
And man, she was asking me back in September, like hey,
she's really plugged in for,
yeah.
People might think, everybody looks like they love their city when they're doing the morning show. Mm-hmm. This woman loves the city, and she is plugged in. Man,
I see her everywhere, man. She be doing her thing.
Yeah, I see her all over the place too, and she always, "Hey, Chris," I'm like,
yeah.
Do you remember everybody? Yeah. How do you do that?
And the energy is genuine, man. I know. I still got to do some shoes for her. I seen her rocking some J's the other day. She was rocking J's in the interview. She had some Jordan 1s.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey, I might have to hook you up because she was wearing the mids though. I was like, hey, I don't do mids. I might have to hook you up, man. We got to get rid of those. I might have to get you some highs or some lows or something.
And for anybody that at this point is like, what is the Trauma Project, though? Go ahead and just give me, I guess, your elevator pitch, what the basic concept is, and we'll dive in from there.
This is a project that highlights talent here in Grand Rapids. There's a lot of creatives here in Grand Rapids, and I'm trying to tap in with everybody, but this project is more so about being vulnerable with the city. and it's going to target. This is only the first of a whole series. This one is more focused on mental health, and this the project that you're going to see is going to more so target the emotions, the feelings that a person goes through when they're dealing with trauma. And that's just the art side of it. The music side is telling more of a story from an artist's point of view of what they experience in life. You know, it's like relaying a message. It's supposed to be a full sensory project where not only do you have the visual, but you also have the audio that's going to give you like a full, you know, immersive feel of what's going on here. You know, for people that are that have never experienced trauma, it gives them an in-depth look of what trauma is. And for those that have, and this majority of us have gone through trauma but have not realized that they have experienced trauma, is that this is to help them identify that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and I'm sure that some people will come to this and go, oh shit, that's I have trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. Trauma has many different forms, and it's not just a physical injury. You know, a lot of people think that trauma, you know, they associate it with blunt trauma. Yeah. And
blunt force trauma to the head or body, or
or like you know, like eternal bleeding and stuff like that. But no, that's not all that trauma is. Trauma can affect you mentally. Trauma can really determine how you move through the world, what your day-to-day looks like, you know. Like I said, it has many forms, and this first unveiling of the project is only around mental health. So it's only a piece of what trauma is. But man, you know, you got abuse, you have mental health, abuse. I haven't really got to the third one yet, but every last subject is going to be deep, and I'm just trying to hit the key ones that I know people can relate to. I mean, war is trauma, you know, like, man, we right now watching a country, you know, go through war, genocide, and we're over here in America, and this is like, man, it can come to us. You know, anything is possible. We got, you know, all these weapons and stuff, man. We got weapons we don't even know about, weapons we can't even pronounce.
We got stuff in North and South Dakota and out in the middle of the farmland and missile silos.
all this weird stuff going on, like cell phones going out, cell phone outage. But you know, trauma can come from many different things, and war is definitely one of them. You know, like, for sure, just hearing like, you know, imagine, man, I seen this video of a little girl, and it broke my heart, man. It made me real sad. Is that this little girl, she made it out of Gaza, and it was a thunderstorm going on. And, like, all she heard was the thunder. But
was that on your stories? Was that on your stories?
Yeah, I believe I shared it in my stories.
I think I saw that on your stories.
But yeah, it was a thunderstorm going on outside, but to her, it didn't sound like a thunderstorm. It sounded like them jets coming over and dropping bombs. So it's like, really think about that. That's deep, you know? And, you know, that's just, I mean, that's one of the key topics I definitely want to hit on. But this first project is all about mental health, and this is the day-to-day, everybody, you know? At the end of the day, trauma is trauma, and it affects all of us. And the point of this project is to get people to talk about what trauma is. You know, that's the biggest thing, is that the people need to talk. We all need somebody. You know, you can't do everything by yourself. And when it comes down to trauma, you cannot deal with that by yourself. It's always great to have somebody there to help you guide through it, from anywhere from a conversation to distract you from your own trauma, to identify, diving more into it, and figure out how can you deal with it yourself, but also, you know, getting help from others. And just granted, this project here is more so, it's describing what trauma is through my eyes as a Black man, you know. But at the end of the day, trauma is trauma. It's all the same.
And well, I was just thinking about that skit that I recorded with Mike. Maybe I can put just a piece of it in here, something for Real Black and All.
Life is scary.
Real Black and All is a brand new treatment designed specifically to address trauma and depression amongst Black Americans. The best part about this treatment is there are no pills and no injections. You simply talk about your feelings with someone you care about, and occasionally admit that life is scary, my nigga. And that's it.
Yeah, man. And that's That's real too, because I feel like especially with guys,
We don't talk.
girls like can't wait to talk about their feelings. Oh, how did that make you feel? You know, when you see them talking to each other and they're holding each other's hands and supporting each other.
Yeah.
And you know, if a guy tells another guy like, "Man, I was really scared the other day," they're like, "Why don't you take your tampon out, bro?"
Man. Or it's like, man, the only time you're gonna really hear men talk about that is if drugs are involved. You gotta be drinking or you gotta be high, you know, something's involved for that to happen. And at the end of the day, is that us as men, is that, man, we want to be strong.
Yeah.
We want to be strong. And
we've been told we have to, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, man up, don't cry.
All right, man. Suck it up, man. And it's just like, you know, that's where that pride comes from, man. We don't want to be looked down on talking about our own issues. And I feel that I've done an amazing job because, like, man, I'm a big black dude, man. I'm 6'3", you know, over 250 pounds, man. And I am very open talking about trauma because it doesn't pull away from me as a man. I know that I'm solid.
Yeah. But
I have no problem talking about some real stuff and, you know, really getting you to dive deeper into your own thoughts, you know.
I'm curious what the actual inspiration was for the Trauma Project. And did you already have like a foot in the door in the music world, or was this just like a whole different thing?
Man, this was a whole different thing. My connection in the music world of GR was basically me getting out, talking to people, being at events, and just networking, you know, really talking. I know I feel like I'm very strong when it comes to networking because I'm linked in with businesses across the country. You know, we talking like, man, from big to small, and you know, like I feel like that's vital, you know, for a business, especially if like you need something, you need some guidance. You know, I got brand owners that I can hit up and like, hey man, you know, how you do this and that, and then, you know, I learn from that. And same thing here in Grand Rapids is like, especially with music, is that, man, you know, I was rapping when I was in college, but I ain't know nothing about you know, uploading an album and, you know, the PROs and all that stuff. I had to learn that here. But as far as the inspiration for the Trauma Project is that, man, I felt like, man, the stuff that I was going through is that nobody would believe me, you know. Talking about trauma and the pain, how the pain makes you feel, the fears that it opens up in your mind. It's it's like Pandora's box opening and you can't close it. You know, it's just I had to go through a journey of, man, battling the pain, accepting the pain, and growing from the pain. You know,
I hear a lot of people saying that too.
Yeah.
You have to accept the pain, otherwise there's really no getting through it.
You have to accept it, and telling someone how to accept something what works for you don't work for everybody. Telling somebody how to accept it is that's truly something that they have to learn on their own. You know, that's something that they have to learn. And me, man, I was a very solid minded individual before I went through trauma, man. I didn't like when I had that slip and fall and then mixture of the medications and stuff, is that it awakened all the fears that I had locked away, thoughts that I never really, you know, focused on. You know, as a kid, I was afraid of the dark, you know.
Same here.
Now, man, I can't even go to bed in a dark room. I gotta have the TV going, because what happens for me is that if there is no noise or something to distract my mind as I go to sleep, my thoughts start to ramble, you know, they start to go, and then they go from all these ideas I have of doing stuff to fears, you know, like, man, losing a loved one, you know, stuff like that, you know, like, man, hey, it gets dark. It gets dark, man.
Same thing. I'm married. I'm used to curling up next to my wife, and then on the occasion that she's out late or isn't around, go somewhere with friends, and then I just sit there and I go like, man, is this what it's going to feel like when she's
Yeah.
gone? If I'm the, and it's just, you start going to these weird, dark places.
Yeah, man. Weird dark places that you don't normally go to.
Yeah.
And dealing with that is I was like fear of the dark. The constant stabbing pain that I was getting was that I was afraid of feeling that peak pain. You know how you got your different levels of pain? Is that the stabbing pain was always there.
Yeah.
But you had that one pain that will just bring you to your knees. It just cripple you right then and there.
That one where the whole world just kind of tunes out.
Yeah, where it's just like, stop, you over there, like you finna yell,
Mm-hmm.
So that put fear in my head. Small spaces, like, man, I used to be able to watch movies where like for example, what is it? Shawshank Revenge.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. I can't even say the words right now, but I used to love movies like that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, I see somebody go into a jail cell or be put into a closed room where they can't leave. Man, that gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. I gotta step outside and breathe, man. I remember those nights where I woke up in the middle of the night from night terrors and walking to my front door, opening the door just to get fresh air because the air in the house wasn't enough, Thankfully, man, I had support, I was able to fight through that, but it wasn't no smooth rodeo. It wasn't no hop on the train and everything's good to, when you get to the next city. It's like, nah, man, it was a whole journey. It was a whole story.
Yeah.
And the point of the trauma project is that, man, I wanted to take people through the dark and bring them to the light. So with the trauma project is that, man, it's broken up into 3 parts. The album's broken up into 3 parts. The first part is pain. The second part is acceptance. And the third part is growth. And I know one thing that people don't talk about with trauma, especially with like PTSD, is that PTSD stands for post-traumatic
stress disorder.
Yeah, stress disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is PTG? A lot of people ain't never heard of PTG.
Post-traumatic guilt disorder?
No. PTG is like the best thing. It's the result of PTSD. It is the result of dealing with depression and anxiety. This is after you go through that battle and you win that war against your own demons.
Mm-hmm.
Is that PTG is post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is basically where you are a product of your environment, right?
I was way off.
But yeah, you was way off. Yeah, you, like, in simpler terms, you are a product of your environment, but you didn't let your environment hinder you.
Yeah.
You still found a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, post-traumatic growth is. It's just that basically you're still influenced by your environment, but you found a better way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something people don't talk about or, really, really hear about. It's a concept that people have to, obtain through going through it. You got to go through the mud before you see the water.
And that's good to know. Like, I mean, just for anybody who's dealing with something like that, and I know a lot of guys who have got totally different forms of PTSD. I've met guys who were in Iraq and or Afghanistan,
mm-hmm.
and their PTSD is that I don't know if every night, but one guy was telling me, yeah, man, I don't like freak out. I don't go into like adrenaline mode on people
mm-hmm.
when I get upset.
Fight or flight.
My PTSD comes from every night when I try to sleep. As I'm falling asleep, I'll see the faces of the people that died in the war zone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm asleep, they start coming back to life.
Yeah. Those are called night terrors.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. For me, night terrors was me feeling the pain and waking up like jumping out of my sleep. Feeling as if, man, I'm being choked. I'm finna pass out. you know, and just you go into fight or flight mode when you're
Yeah.
dealing with that. When you wake up abruptly like that, you're in fight or flight mode, and it's harder to go back to sleep. You know, during my time of dealing with traumas, that man, I did a lot of video gaming. Man, I was really good at Warzone because that's all I played. I had nothing else to do. You know,
Yeah.
I was really good at it, and I was doing that in sneakers, man. You know, and eventually I, you know, moved away from video games and just really doing something with my life and stuff. And I feel like this project is going to be very impactful and influential to the community. I mean, the point of this project is to invoke those emotions.
Yeah.
So once, you know, if I'm able to invoke those emotions, it's going to be the best thing ever for you. Because once you feel it in the music, you see it in the art, is that you're able to go through that journey all the way to the end of the album. And like the last track by my guy Gwopped Up
Speedy,
yeah, Speedy, man, that last track is like, man, I had him as the closer for a reason. You know, his track is post-traumatic growth. You know, and like the painting that's paired with it, man, it's self-explanatory. When you look at it, it is very like blunt of what it means.
Yeah.
But the way that it's painted is that it makes you think even deeper. So it's like, I give you the answer. You know, the title is like self-explanatory, but what is this painting really, you know? And I'm like one of those guys that I'll put something in your face, but there's a deeper meaning to it, you know? It's like not everything that you see is what you see.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
It's not what it appears to be. It can be.
Things rarely are.
Yeah.
You got poor people out there trying to look rich. You got rich people out there trying to look poor.
Man, I mean, like, here goes something for you, man. Is that being homeless, right? When you go out on the street, you see homeless people, right? People begging for money. Through some people's perspective, like even myself as a kid, when I didn't understand what being homeless was, is that when I seen a homeless person, I always thought,
why'd you give up? Why you stop paying?
Nah, not even that, man. You know, I grew up around drugs, so I'm thinking, you know, drug addict, you know, a fiend.
These people are here as a result of their bad decisions.
Exactly. And when as I got older and understood mental health, is that, man, you have people that are dealing with mental struggles that aren't really capable of being out in society, but yet they make a way, and we see them as homeless people. You know, like, man.
And when we were kids, a lot of those Vietnam War guys, they made up a lot of the homeless.
Yeah, man, and it revolves around mental health, man. You know, like you got people dealing with these things, man, from being bipolar to you know, PTSD, etc. It's just that, man, you know, a lot of the people that are homeless have mental issues. And not you know, when you're homeless, you don't have the money to support, you know, the help that you need. And when you don't have the support to help what you need, then some of us is gonna turn to drugs. I mean, same thing with like when Oxycontin came out. Is that Oxycontin is basically
synthetic heroin.
Synthetic heroin. And it's basically like, man, they say weed is a gateway drug. It's like, nah, man, pills is really a gateway drug. You really want to think about it. And if you're someone that's dealing with excruciating pain, or you're just taking pain pills just to feel better, is that it turns into an addiction, especially when you're dealing with opioids. Like, man, I had a doctor try to prescribe me opioids, and I was like, hey, man, I ain't messing with that. Yeah. You know, I know what comes with that, and either you can become addicted or not. Yeah. You know, it depends on the dosage. And you have a hell of a time
taking a shit too.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a good time. And then once it runs out, because Western medication is expensive. Yeah. So once
more expensive in this country than the same as medicine is if you go up north or down south.
Exactly, man. So let's say that your doctor prescribes you opioids and stuff, right? And then at one point you can't afford them. What you gonna turn to? The cheaper option. Yeah. What's that gonna be? Heroin.
Yeah.
You know?
I even actually, one of those songs that I was telling you about that just came to me really fast was a song called Long Sleeves. And it was about this girl I know who was, her boyfriend was the guy that we used to buy weed from when we were like 18, 19. I was about to say his name and be like, shout out, but no, I'm not going to do that. But they were both heroin addicts. And I remember she was telling me just this terrible story one time. She's like, yeah, you know, we both tried to quit, but it didn't work. So then I got pregnant on purpose, thinking like maybe that will be my motivation to quit. And then they kept doing it and lost the baby. And I was just like, man, so what's the hardest part about all this? Because there's just so much that goes into that. And she said, honestly, the hardest part is having to wear long sleeves when it's hot out. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And the name of the song is called Long Sleeves, and the chorus is, when's enough for the girl who wears long sleeves in the middle of the summer?
Hey, man. That was sad.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad because hey man, when you said I got pregnant, I was like, what? You got pregnant?
No.
Like, wait, what? I was so lost after that.
No, it wasn't me, and the pregnancy was nothing to do with me either. Let me throw that out
there. Everyone a part of this project is that I listen to their music.
Yeah.
You know, me, I support anybody that's doing something, you know.
And Speedy, speaking of Speedy, I don't know if anybody works as hard as that dude. That guy is constantly grinding, writing, selling, making, working out. Like he's just he doesn't stop.
Yeah, I know. Me and him be having some great conversations, man. More about self growth and like a lot of stuff that we talk about is something that we learned from our childhood. And then I met people like Teelan. I met DNA Dang. I met a bunch of talented individuals there. You know, some of these individuals aren't even on the project.
Yeah.
But I still met a lot of talented artists here in Grand Rapids on the music aspect. And from there I just started talking to people, you know, listening to their music more. And this project pretty much turned into like, man, it's like me being Metro Boomin doing an orchestra. You know, like everybody is a different instrument. I needed people with different styles. I didn't want people that sounded the same.
Yeah.
I had people that I wanted, but there was no placement for them, you know, based on their style. It's just that I didn't have anything made for you yet, but there will be something made for you. And from there, I just started contacting people directly and building those bonds, showing my face in the community, showing that, you know, like, man, I'm really here for the people and stuff, you know, and I feel like I show that in my actions every day. And that was like part of building this project, man, was that I was able to meet the people and listen to the talents that they have that people, you know, some people haven't even heard yet. And the point of this project is to give people a platform to reach people that they probably would have never reached.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's an awesome thing. And it's become kind of a big theme just in the last couple of interviews that I've had too, is
unity.
And getting away from the competition and really going like, you know, there's enough out here for all of us. And if we all work towards it together, we can get there faster.
It takes a village to grow.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
You can't, you know, that's like being a one-hit wonder, is that, you know, you rolled the dice and you won, but everybody else rolling them same dice and they ain't getting what you getting. You know, some people got to go through a rockier path than you do. So that's where it takes a village to grow sometimes. It takes a bunch of people coming together and seeing a common goal, or meeting someone with common interests as you, you know, through the community. And then that's how growth works. I mean, when you look at all these other places that the world is looking at, you know, especially like in music, Detroit, and Detroit working with Flint, you know, like think about those connections, you know, people working together, that is called a collaboration.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, if we did more of that here in Grand Rapids will have a light shined on them. And that is one of the points of this project, is to shine light on the talent here. You know, I'm one that loves art, and Grand Rapids was like the perfect place for me. One, my brother's here doing this thing as a break dancer, and now, you know, he's running his own studio teaching.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
shout out, what's the studio called?
Yeah, it's it was 616 Technique. It's Teknique Academy now, and they are located in Walker, Michigan. So it's just pretty much north off of Lake Michigan Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, my brother was doing this thing here, so I wanted to move here, be closer to my brother, because majority of my family's in Chicago and St. Louis. So me and my brother are pretty tight. So we had moved out there, you know, be closer with him, and find my own way. And fortunately, before I even came here, I've been visiting here often. That I knew you know, quite a bit of people, you know, before even moving here. And I know one of the biggest connections for me moving here was my homie Monk, and he was just he was more of like he was more of a mentor and resource for me. So he really helped me find my way. At the end of the day, I still had to carve my own way, but he would give me guidance more so, you know, like, you might want to, you know, look at this, do this, you know, hey, talk to, you know, like these kind of people and stuff, you know. But at the end of the day, I had to do all the stuff myself.
Yeah.
You know, put in that grunt work.
Yeah, there's nothing for any creatives out there listening. There's nobody that's going to do any of it for you.
Yeah.
They'll point you in the right direction, but nobody's going to just be like, hold on a second, you just sit there and I'll make sure that you have a career.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, man, you cannot rely on someone else to get what you want done. It's not going to happen, man. You know, like that's like you asking me to, let's say, push something big that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And let's say I don't really share the same interests as you, so I'm not going to push it as hard as you would.
Right.
I'll probably push it every time you ask me, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do this, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like, you know, you got to put the groundwork in. You got to put yourself in people's faces.
Yeah. And
one of the biggest things that's going to talk and going to always talk is when you put stuff in people's faces in person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, social media only do so much. And at the same time, like with Instagram, man, it's an algorithm. You got to pop up on somebody's page.
Yeah.
I ain't taking no chances. I'm coming straight to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. My worst day selling books in person is still better than almost all my best days, like, except right after a book drops, then you get a big spike. But like outside of that first like 2-3 weeks, anything you do on social media is just going to be like tiny little splash versus, you know, getting in front of a couple hundred people. Hey, you want to buy a book? Hey, you want to buy a book? Hey, sir, come here a second. You look like you like to read. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like, man, when you do stuff in person, you are able to develop those connections in person.
Yeah.
A connection made in person is going to be stronger than a connection made online, unless y'all talking on the phone and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So, aside from that, moving here, and being closer to my brother was just that, I came out here, I found me another job in aviation, but my heart wasn't in aviation anymore.
Yeah.
It was more with art, and I was already leaning towards that ledge of, I'm going to take a leap of faith and bet on myself. And sure enough, before I could take that leap of faith, is that the leap of faith was made for me.
That makes it easier.
Yeah. It was it forced me to take that leap of faith. That's when I really entered into that go-getter mode, grind mode. And I was already developing a relationship with Last Mile, because at the time, during January going into February, my brother was taking ownership of Technique Academy of 2023. And from there, I was just like, man, you know, dang, my brother finna be a business owner. I'm trying to be a business owner. This is motivation for me. Let me help my brother out so I can learn more about business. You know, and that's what I did. We put together a fundraiser. Man, I gave away over $1,000 in shoes. And like, man, I gave away some dope shoes. I did some custom Vans, some custom Dunks, you know, some Air Forces. I wasn't finna get nobody no Jordans though. Like, that wasn't gonna happen. But yeah, man, I gave over a grand in sneakers, and we did a raffle to help support Teknique Academy, so that it can survive. And that's just what we did. The whole event was crazy. Had a real dope battle and everything, but that was motivation for me to like really push my dreams. Then I lost my job, and then I really went to that grind mode and started talking with people like Eric and Sarah at Last Mile, developing that connection. Them giving me opportunities to do stuff for them.
Yeah.
And that really that's like my origin story really of here in Grand Rapids. Was it started at Last Mile. It was those conversations with Eric and putting the boots to the ground and making stuff happen, and then starting to meet more people, and then from there I just let my own genuine energy really show people, like, man, I'm truly here. I'm not a selfish individual. I'm not here for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for more so uplifting of others, So
yeah.
Just man, my passion is art. I'm happy making art. I could be rich, poor, I don't care. Art is my thing, like I said, it's liberating.
I think the way that you said it was pretty straightforward. It's people just talking openly and being vulnerable about things.
Yeah.
Through the hip hop medium. But tell me a little bit more about some of this art.
Yeah. So the artwork, man, I put my all into my art. If you want to see an example of any of my artwork to really get a vibe of the type of artist I am, definitely go down to Della Soul Records, man, and go and ask her about that Anita Baker painting, man. Just ask her about that. To ask her how did that make her feel? Because I put my soul into that painting, and me as an artist is that I don't paint for nothing. Every painting has a part of me put into it.
Yeah.
And the big thing about art is like, man, I've had dreams of just being an art therapist. Just having people come through and like, hey. We gonna talk and you gonna paint, and like it's gonna really bring out your emotions, because to me art is very liberating, and art was liberating for me when I had went through my own injuries with 3 herniated discs in my lower back. That took me a year and a half to recover from, and
back pain is
yeah,
no joke,
man. When you talking about herniated discs, man, there is a such thing as pain that you don't wish on no man.
Yeah,
that is one of them.
I mean, you can't laugh, you can't sneeze. You got to be careful if you take too deep a breath.
Shoot, man, I rise up out my bed like I'm Dracula, bro. I can't bend or nothing, man. I rise up and shoot, I grab my cane and I keep moving. Like that took me a year and a half to recover from, before my job finally was like, hey, you need to come back, like miraculously, man, it was grace from God that I started feeling better at the time, because they were trying to let me go. But, dealing with that that's how I found my way back to art. And it's been like 10 years. It's been a decade since I've ever picked up a paintbrush.
Yeah.
So
what happened that made you stop painting for a while? Just life got too busy?
Man, just life, different interests.
When did getting back into the art turn into like, oh, this is kind of my jam. I'm going to go and put this art up in the Last Mile Cafe and get commissioned to do artwork on the walls?
Hey, man, life is crazy.
It sure is.
What brought me back to art was seeing like, a bunch of people painting on shoes and stuff. And I was like, man, that look cool, So I started doing my research, seeing, like what kind of paint are they using? Because you can't just use any paint for anything.
Yeah.
And it turns out there is a special paint you're supposed to use for shoes. You can't just go to Walmart and get some.
That stuff will come off as soon as you start to walk in the ring.
It's gonna crack, come right off. You can't spray paint a shoe because that's just gonna crack. So. I learned about that. I invested $500 into myself to get a, airbrush machine, paint brushes, and the right paint. And I started, painting on my own shoes. And, aside from art, is that I'm also a sneakerhead, man. I love my kicks. So from there, I just started, just creating, dope shoes. And then before you know it, people was paying me to, do shoes for them. And I turned that into a business before I got an LLC for it. I was just sitting there, just creating art and whatnot. And over time, I started to realize that, man, I'm not just a sneaker artist, because I could do portraits, I could do designs, I could do color schemes, all the other stuff. But I feel like I am a true multimedia artist that I feel like I can do everything.
And as cool as the shoes are, like, it's its own form, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It looks different from different sides. But sometimes if you really want to express yourself, you can only go so far on a shoe.
And it's like, man, if you really want to do some detailed stuff, it requires a lot of time, layers and stuff. And it's like, I'd rather put that into a canvas.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a shoe is harder to sell than a canvas, So it's like, I'd rather sell something that you can hang up in your house than something that's gonna sit on the shelf. But granted, like I treat both equally, honestly, because I have a lot of people that love what I do with shoes. I got people that actually collect my shoes. When I do a design, they buy them from me, and they legitimately collect them, and they're like, that means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
My journey as a custom sneaker artist has been it's been wild, man. It's been up and down. It's been times where there were things I had to learn for myself. And one of the biggest things is that when you're trying to grow as an artist, don't ever compare yourself to somebody else's success, because it's going to eat you up inside.
Yeah, that's what they say, right? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, man. I went through a lot of imposter syndrome. I felt like I wasn't doing good enough because the people around me were doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
But little did
you
I
see
know,
people doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
You're like, I think I'm kind of in the same ballpark talent-wise, but these guys got way more followers, or their stuff is out in the world way more than mine is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, I was like, man, that's where I'm supposed to be. Like I built organic growth. I've been sitting at 2,000 followers for a good minute, but to me that doesn't mean anything. It's just that I know I have people that support me, but it's like when you meet me in person, I feel like the bond is stronger than knowing me through like Instagram, Facebook, and stuff. That's type of stuff that I care more about. Like, man, I got a guy all the way out in Utah that, man, I treat him like family, like we tight like that. He been rocking with me since day one. He actually flying out from Utah just to come to the show.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's crazy. I've never had a long time client, support me like that.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's dope.
How do you describe your artistic style?
Really, I wouldn't even say I have a style. I would say that I'm very versatile.
I attest to that. You painted the walls in the bathroom at Last Mile.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And that's more kind of abstract. And then you go out in the lobby there, and you've got it's a Nipsey Hussle painting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've got some realism out there. So it's kind of whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, that Nipsey painting, man, that was one of my favorite paintings, beginning to end. That's what I call that one, beginning to end. And that one there was one of those paintings that took me a year to do, actually.
Okay, so you're not Bob Ross style, just get in and out of there and be done with it in a half an hour.
Yeah, I can be Bob Ross, but that Nipsey one, the story behind that Nipsey painting is just that I was very influenced by Nipsey Hussle and like what he was doing with his career and how he was trying to give other people a platform, how he was trying to build up his community. And from there, when I was just sitting there trying to bring that painting to life, is that it started with one portrait, and it was just the one that was on the left that was painted in acrylic paint. And I was just trying to figure out, man, how do I fill this big space to the right, and first I had skies, and then I was like, man, maybe I should put a street sign right there. Nah, maybe I should put the all money ends logo right there. I was like, nah, they ain't gonna do it for this painting. And sure enough, that painting sat for like 3 months, and then I came back to it like, all right, I got new ideas, and it's just like could never settle on something until I finally, I just thought, man, I'm gonna put the young Nipsey on there and have them, staring at each other. So you got Nipsey when he passed away, and Nipsey when he was just starting out, creating his career. And that to me was like a very dope painting, but the process of getting that painting was putting that painting together was more so like my process of finding my own purpose,
Yeah.
you know, and just like really writing out what it is that I want to do in my life.
Yeah. And that's a good lesson too, I think, in terms of just creative process. I think people, you know, our age, I'm an elder millennial, but I'm a millennial. We've kind of always been instilled with this, like, if you're not doing something, you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, always be doing something, always be working, and hurry up and finish.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things need to just kind of sit and ferment in your mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've had stories where I wrote the beginning of a story and just kind of went, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And I'll just put it in a drawer. And then I might see it 6 months or a year and a half later and go, oh, I remember that. Oh, you know what I could do? I could do this. And it just takes a little bit sometimes to kind of step away from something and let it come back to you.
I mean, man, so like, man, my life is built off metaphors. Shout out to my dad. My life is built off metaphors. I live by metaphors. And I watched way too many Kung Fu movies as a kid. That, you know, that's how I live my life. And one thing, like, all right, when we talking about in terms of the art, is that, man, you can have grapes now, or you can have wine.
Yeah.
You know, you can have grapes now, or you can have wine.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. Hey, just the surface, man. Just the surface. I know one thing I live by though for sure is that what's done in the dark always comes to the light.
So how much of your work, I mean, you said like you can be that guy that just busts stuff out.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something that's not a commission and you're just like, you know what, I feel moved to do something. Are you more of a like, I'm going to work on this a little bit, put it away, come back to it, work on it a little bit, put it away, come back to it? Or do you prefer to kind of like, when you can, feverishly just keep going?
And me in particular is that my process with art is that I paint until I feel like, not even I paint until my soul says, hey, this is enough. This is good.
Yeah.
You know, so some paintings can take, you know, months, weeks, but it's a lot of me sitting there painting a little bit until I don't feel like painting anymore, or I feel like doing something else, and then I come back to it.
Yeah.
But
whenever your heart or whatever you want to call it just goes, all right, that's enough. And you just got to listen and go, all right.
Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, shoot, even with the Anita Baker painting, is that, man, I put like that's one of them Bob Ross paintings. Like, dude, that painting literally has, I want to say 13 hours of time put into it. And that painting is a monster. And the thing about that painting is that every time I approach that painting, I only spent 2 hours a day on that painting. And when I come over to start painting and everything, is that I'm already tapped in with, you know, my spiritual side. When I'm sitting there, you know, I let my heart and soul guide my brush. And the way that painting came out is that I did everything right the first time. You know, like I was just being guided to complete that painting.
Yeah, like divine inspiration.
Yeah. And it's like, man, typically, you know, especially with portraits, is that I always find myself coming back and doing little touch-ups or changing the entire face, you know, stuff like that. But that Anita Baker painting, I didn't have to change anything. It was just a straight through. I painted her first, and then I did the background. And it was just guidance, man. Every puzzle piece dropped into place.
Yeah. I have maybe 1 or 2 songs, like actual songs that I like wrote and put a whole set of words to, where I just sat down and in one shot was just like, all right. Hey, I got a song here.
I know one thing that I'm very confident in, man, is that the way that I market the Trauma Project, I don't think anybody's marketed a project like this before. the way I did, man. I feel like I was killing it as far as advertising, man, from in-person interviews where people are telling you what trauma means to them and how important this project is, to me creating a radio ad out of it, you know, just really, you know, like letting you know, hey, it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man, my flyers got augmented reality in them, man. You
That's
scan
right.
them,
Saw
bro.
that.
You know, it's a whole poster that plays a video. You know, like, man, you know, is that I want people to start doing this type of stuff. So I'm like introducing it. It's like, copy me, take it, do it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing wrong with saying that somebody inspired you, because man, I say it every day.
Yeah.
Especially when I have deep conversations with other individuals, especially when I was going through my process of completing the trauma project. I mean, for example, my homie Blair for Uplife, man. Me and him have some deep conversations. I remember one day, man, we was talking about Jay-Z's album. And it was the song Picasso, right? And we sitting there, he was talking about how big of an influence that track was on his life. And I was like, man, dude, what you just said inspired me. That inspired my next painting. There is nothing wrong with letting people know that they inspire you.
Yeah.
You know, like that's good for both of you. I want to hear that I inspire somebody, because then that tells me that I'm doing the right thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you got to put that pride aside, because pride is the downfall of man. This ain't no one-time project. This is one of those community uplifting projects that I want to continue to you know, do. And it's just like, man, I am putting together what I can with this project and then putting it into the next one.
Yeah.
The trauma project is something that's going to turn into it's going to have a documentary behind it. And also following that documentary is that there's also going to be a movie made with this, man. You know, I got a bunch of mad scientist ideas, but I'm definitely turning this into a movie. And Trauma Project 2 is already in the works. You know, I've already talked to a couple people. They already know who they are, and I'm going to continue to grow that roster, man. Man, we talking about an empire, an empire, and the only thing, like, man, this thing just comes with love, man. That's all it is love, love and respect. And none of that, you know, beef, street stuff, people butting heads over dumb things. Is that, nah, man, the main thing is that this is for the community. Trauma Project is the blueprint for the community to show them what happens when you bring people together. This is something that I want to continue on for at least like for a series or something, but, you know, just put something together that has never been done.
Yeah. And it really, I just want to hammer that home one more time too, that just out of my personal experience, when you see an opportunity and go, oh, you know what? I can bring my other partner over here that does the same thing as me. We can both get this opportunity. Yeah. And then that person says, hey, you know what? I got this opportunity next month. You want to come do that with me? And then they introduce you to somebody else, and then they introduce some, and before you know it, you get introduced to, well, like, you and I got to know each other through Mike Logan, because of somebody that I had met. I was like, hey, let's go watch this dude play music. And we're like, all right. And then Shayna, who was on my podcast that just dropped this week.
Yeah, I fuck with Shayna.
Yeah. She met Mike through me going to see my friend play keyboard. Shout out to Sean Jackson from Art Sauce Quartet. And she just happened to be there with him, sang a couple songs with him. And then me and Mike went up and talked to her afterwards. She ended up going on his show Late Line, being his first guest. And then later on, he was like, hey, man, I need your help recording this thing for this guy, Scoob. I'm like, oh, who's Scoob? Now here we are talking. And if you keep playing that game and you don't try to keep it all to yourself.
Yeah, man, you can't.
It's incredible, the people that you're going to meet, the opportunities. Like, I would have never thought I would be producing something for a hip hop album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, man, this album is very, very different, man. I look at this as roots that's growing. Yeah, you know, and no tree has one root, man. There's several roots, and their goal is to find water. Yeah, you know, and with this album is that this ain't no party album. This ain't no, you know, club banger type of thing. The same, this is motivational music put in a form of soul and conscious rap. Like that's all it is, man. Bringing that together and infusing it with art, like that is powerful. I mean, just as an artist myself, sitting there painting, man, the power that music has for me when I'm painting is strong. And
same here when I write, man.
Yeah,
I get just the right music, and it makes me feel just a little icky inside, and then I can start writing about cult leaders and weird shit. You know what I mean?
Start writing about cult leaders. Yeah, but like as far as the people you're talking about, Mike Logan, man, I met that dude at a meet and greet back in around Christmas, and me personally, I don't celebrate Christmas and whatnot, but I was there at the at this event. I ran into him after I just seen his ad, for the celebrity game night. I thought it was hilarious, and I pulled him aside. I was like, "Hey, man, I would love for you to be a part of this project." I told him what the project was about, and he was vibing with it. And I was just telling him what he would bring to the table. And basically, man, I just wanted to create a project that has several elements from rap, spoken word, comedy. I can't give you too much, but I wanted something with a lot of elements to it.
Yeah.
That you're not just listening to
it's not going to be repetitive.
One sound. Yeah. Like it's all going to flow smooth together. And this is definitely something that you can listen to while you creating, man. This is definitely one of those albums where you sitting there in the mode, reading a book, right? Writing, man, drawing, man.
Or just trying to get your shit together.
Yeah, or if you in college and you doing book work and stuff, man, this is definitely the vibe for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I've met a lot of dope individuals. I've met a lot of individuals that I definitely want to work with in the future. I've definitely been trying to carry myself as a motivational individual in the in the city of Grand Rapids. The only time that I don't compete, I'm more of I'm gonna push you. So it's like, man, if I see you slacking in what you doing, I'm like, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Or I like to ask for tips, or I pass tips when people like something I did and everything.
Scoob, it was great talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. I got more to talk about, but hey, we gotta cut it.
And then next time you got the second iteration of it coming out, we'll do this again.
Hell yeah, man. I'm definitely down, bro.
All right, cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, this was Scoob. Get out, if you're in the West Michigan area, to Muse GR to check out in person all the stuff he's been putting together.
Yeah, March 2nd, March 3rd, 9th to the 10th, 7 to 10 at the Muse, Northeast on Leonard. I feel like I'm yelling and singing at the same time.
I can put a beat down for you if you want.
Man, hey, I'm not finna embarrass myself. It's been a long time, bro.
All right, man. We'll talk again.
All right, for sure.
Thank you to Scoob for coming on the podcast and talking about this amazing project. I hope everyone goes to see it. Check out the show notes. Tell somebody about the show. Leave a rating and a review. All that kind of fun stuff. All right, whatever. I'll see you guys next time. Mwah.